Let's get right into it. We have on the live line currently Mr. Darcy Rahming Jr., who is with the Awak X organization. Recently in the news, they launched not too long ago with the vision, with the intention of revolutionizing the financial scene, the financing and funding scene within the Bahamas, within the region, and definitely within the wider world. They have introduced this idea of equity crowdfunding. And so we are in for some good news. There's been some interesting development, some great development, some positive development, but I'm not the one who's going to share that with you. So we want to welcome immediately as we go through this section, Mr. Darcy Rahming Jr. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on the show. I know your guests are going to enjoy what we have to say today.
Definitely always a pleasure having you here talking about something which is innovative, revolutionary, and significantly positive for the Bahamas and possibly the wider Caribbean region.
Mhm.
Talk to us about what's happening over at Arawak X. What's the new news? What's the exciting news? And what are the things that persons ought to be sitting at the edge of their seat waiting to hear from you this evening?
Well, so Arawak X is a platform where you can go online and buy shares in new, fast-growing companies. And the exciting news that I have to tell you today is that you still have time to buy in the first two companies that launched, and then on Monday we had launched a third company, Grow, which is wonderful. It's an amazing company. I'm not allowed to give investment advice, but I can say, for since I was like a little kid, people have been talking about how do we get into exports? How do we get into exports? And these ladies, these wonderful ladies, have developed um, a basically a food incubator where you can go and everything is FDA certified and approved, so that you can, uh, if you're a small exporter, you can get your feet wet as you grow and innovate.
Yeah. And so Grow is the newest one on the block, and
Mhm.
we'll come back to Grow, but we also have some good news on your two previous listing, Red Lobster and Grove. Talk to us about, what has happened, what is happening with those two listings.
So Red Lobster has passed its minimum, which means that there will be a Red Lobster in the Bahamas. There's still time for you to go out and participate, but it is successful, and that's really the big news, that this is a legitimate way of investing, a legitimate way of raising money for your business, and we're super stoked because this was an idea that me and my father had in 2017. We went through all of the regulatory process. It took us 4 years to get the license. We got the license in June, and then we launched the first two companies in August. But of course, you're sitting there so I'm an entrepreneur myself. You're sitting there as an entrepreneur, sitting there thinking, is this really going to work? Do people really want to be included? Do people really want to own things in the society? And turns out the answer is yes. People do want to be a part of the companies that are uh, growing in the society. People do want to have that opportunity, and we're happy to be some of the first. We're actually the first in the whole Caribbean to get it right, so we're really happy for that.
So Red Lobster has surpassed its minimum, and
Mhm.
the way this work is, you say, okay, you're going to launch this fundraising, not fundraising, this funding, financing activity, and here is the minimum that we want to raise, and as long as you get past the minimum, that would be a winning milestone for Arawak X.
But yeah, so when you pass the minimum, so how crowdfunding works is it's designed to protect the investor from what's called an undercapitalized business.
Mhm.
So, as anyone who's tried to do business before would know, sometimes the idea might be great, but you run out of money. And so, we have a minimum standard that each company has to meet. And the reason for that is, you don't want to have any half built houses, or in the case of Red Lobster, a half-built restaurant. You want to make sure that um, they can participate, that it meets its minimum so it can actually do what it says it's going to do. And so we, the platform, protect the investor from those undercapitalized businesses. Now, I can't promise whether or not it's going to work. No one can. We just make sure as the platform that the information that you receive is legitimate, that the opportunity that is presented before persons in the form of a company is legitimate, that the people are who they say they are, they have done what they said they've done. And then ultimately it's the market, it's you, the investor, sitting out there listening, that decides whether or not you want to put your money in this and whether or not this is a good idea for you and your family.
Yes, but I think one of the important perspective to look at this from is that you launched this business yourself, your father being the visionaries. Our X is now out there. You have essentially test run this with the first two listing, and they're doing well. Red Lobster is successful. The second one, I think, it's Grove. That's
Yeah,
correct.
Groove, we fully expect it to be successful. It's got I think 17 more days left, so there's still much opportunity in both of those companies for you to still be participating as an investor. We have worked diligently. I have a background in engineering. I'm a robotics engineer by training. My father has his degrees in finance. So what fintech really is it's the combination of technology and finance. And so we have worked really, really hard to make sure that the system is as simple as possible, and it's free to sign up. We get paid when the company is successful. The company pays us, not the investors.
Right.
So that's kind of, because nothing is free. I say it's free to sign up, but nothing in life is free, right?
Somebody pays for the opportunity for you to sign up for free.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So the barrier to entry is very, very low. You
Right.
can buy as little as one share. Obviously, I want to encourage people to buy as many shares as they as it makes sense for them in their situation. However, the fact is that never before have people been able to invest for so little and then be a part of new and fast-growing companies.
Yeah. Grow Lab, which is, you say, this is a FDA approved lab looking to provide facility, provide a nexus, provide a nucleus for the expansion of other companies. And I see that this would be of great value for individuals who are seeking to expand, and especially into the export market, for a number of cottage industries, whether it is the spices, the jams, the jellies, anything in that nature. This is going to be a significant move for the Bahamas, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. What we were so excited for about Grow is that they are an enabler of other businesses. So when they're successful, all of those businesses that are in food, because you cannot export out of your kitchen. That's just, I mean, there's so many, obviously the reason the FDA exists is it needs to make sure that food that is on the shelves is safe. And so by going through a food lab like Grow, you're able to easily certify that your product was prepared under the best standards, under the FDA standards, and therefore is ready for consumption by Americans. And just to give you perspective, there are only 400,000 Baymans, maybe 400 to 500, depending on how you count the population. But truth is that in the United States, there are 330, 360 million people. That's a lot of customers that you can serve. And so the numbers of your business change. You're no longer, international business is where the money's at. Let's be honest.
And it's
That's what
important.
makes tourism so important.
Exactly, because for tourism, you're serving a market which is, significantly diverse, significantly much larger than the population itself. And when you look at the areas that you can actually seek to exploit, the United States, Europe, Latin American, Caribbean for in some instances, significant. And that is one of the reasons.
By the way, those three things that you just said, that's over 1 billion people.
Yes.
So you don't even need to get, I mean, what's 1% of 1 billion people is a lot of people.
Yep.
So I mean, when you start framing your mind towards how can I add value with my like you say, your jams or your spices, turns out you can add a lot of value. There's a hunger for food out there that is unique and different. And people have and all of those markets have a taste for Caribbean food. And it's what Grow is going to allow those people to get out in front of those businesses to get out in front of those customers. And so we're really, really, really excited for what's about to come out of them.
Yeah, I am too. I just listening to that, speaking to you before this interview, and just understanding the dynamics behind it. I can see how this becomes a platform for the country to look for other avenues for growing the economy, for growing for national development. One of the important things, Mr. Rahming, is where if we go back to Red Lobster, when we look at the profile of the funding, that has an important aspect to it, doesn't it? Talk to us.
It does. So the Red Lobster, and I can speak a little bit about the background of it, is that the majority of that money came in from outside. So it creates an opportunity for you not just to raise money locally, but to raise money from international markets, where so you can get some US dollars in hand, which is so important for not just the company itself, but it's really important for the economy, the wider economy, because we need US dollars to grow. That's what foreign direct investment is. And so it's another avenue. Mind you, it's in smaller amounts, but it creates the opportunity for people to access new investors that weren't here. And so that's kind of what ArrowACX does, is it allows the blending of local participation, international investors, and so the business gets funded. The business then goes out in the society and hires a bunch of people. I think with the Red Lobster brand, they're going to hire 180 people. That's 180 people who are going to have jobs, work, be able to, feed their families, send their kids to school. And that's a really good positive thing. It's there's so many knockoff spin-off effects, because all of those, of course, the business itself is going to pay taxes, but all of those employees are going to pay taxes. And then NIB, it can be be replenished. The government coffers can be replenished. Our civil servants can then be better paid, retire with dignity. Those are the kinds of things. So it's really important that we as a society focus on getting the people with ideas, the financing they need to go after those ideas, especially international ideas, because what ends up happening is we all benefit, because we're all we all live on islands. We're basically living on several boats, and the rising tide carries all boats.
Yes, and I think it's important that we contextualize. A lot of times we do things, but not fully contextualize it to really appreciate the value. And one way of appreciating the value of what is happening here is certainly there are outsiders, persons outside the country who have a significant interest in the Bahamas and business in the Bahamas. Secondly, this adds a new dimension to foreign direct investment. When we talk about foreign direct investment, immediately we think about a big hotel, a big box, that sort of a thing, right? Now we have an opportunity for local investors to take advantage of the concessions and things which have been offered by the government in the last budget and continue by this administration and through our X to source the funding which we have complained continuously that is never ever available and where bank funding is never ever suitable. Talk to us about this kind of, I'm going to call a democratization of the financing landscape within the Bahamas and how important this is.
Well, it's important because so I've been home for now almost, next year's gonna make 10 years, right, from university. And came back home, worked in my father's management consulting practice. And the same thing over and over and over and over again pops up. It's, hey, how do we get funding? I got this great idea. I want to take it to international. I want to grow this idea as big as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this big hole in financing. There was that hole beyond, if you're familiar with bank financing, you have to put up some collateral. For most people, that's around 250. That's the value of your house. You put that up. The bank says, okay, we're going to give you 50% of that money. So, but $125,000, $150,000 isn't really enough, even if you can get the loan, for you to take your business to the next level. You really need money between 500,000 to 5 million. But
Mm-hmm.
there was no one in the market that was able to kind of systematically provide that. It was really, who kind of environment. And so what we've done, what our X is doing, is it allows the people with the really great ideas to come and put their ideas before not just our local market, but before the international market. And as we like to say in finance, let the market decide. It's important that people have the opportunity to be able to even try. And so that's kind of what we are. We don't guarantee any success of the business. We don't guarantee that even the raise will be successful, but at least people now have the opportunity to put their ideas forward and see if they'll be successful.
Yeah, and I think it's an important option as we seek to wrap this up and certainly continue to wish you great success in what you're doing, growing this platform, providing opportunity for local investors, local entrepreneurs, where financing can really meet idea. And you never know, when you bring this type of facilitation together with this whole idea of looking outside to the United States or other markets, where scalability then becomes a great possibility because you serve in a larger market. You just
Yep.
never know. The next billionaire is walking around right here in the Bahamas.
I'll add one more thing. So the way that the United States defines a small business. So a small business in the United States is someone that employs 500 people, less than 500 people, and does less than $1 billion in revenue.
Right.
Think about that. When you shift from, like, a small business here is like, basically under those definitions, everybody's a small business.
Mm.
But it's when you shift to the international, your possibilities become endless.
Yeah,
And that's a beautiful thing.
it is a beautiful thing. So as we wrap up, Mr. Rahming, talk to us about, are you satisfied with the Bahamas? Is it going to be restricted to the borders of the Bahamas? Are there
So
things
great question. So of course, as a Bahamian, I love my country. I love being able to help people in my country. But it is technology, and it has the ability to scale itself. So we have intentions of moving throughout, certainly the English-speaking Caribbean first. We've opened up an office in Silicon Valley. We're going to open up a few more offices in the United States. So we are on the growth path. There's a lot of people that need to be helped. The Bahamas, it turns out in all of the Caribbean islands, they have the same problems. So we are really good at technology. We're really good at back office systems. We're really good at lowering the barrier to entry. And so we intend to take Arawak X throughout the Caribbean very shortly.
Certainly, that sounds good because when you leave in here from the Bahamas and you spread in this type of a facility, a raise of $1.8 million for Red Lobster, the majority of that raised in US dollar. This is revolutionary. This is changing. Your last words for the listening audience, help them to understand what they can do to get involved. I understand that
Yep.
the investment minimum on the Grow Lab is at $16. And so,
$16. It's really super simple to sign up. Sign up. We're going to be tons and tons of companies listing. It's free to sign up. Like I say, we make our money when the raise is successful. And so sign up today. Even if you don't like any of the companies that are on there, something is going to catch your eye. Something is going to speak to you in your soul as a great idea that you want to be a part of. When you sign up, it takes 5 minutes to sign up online. And then there's a couple of days process for you to go to come through compliance. It is financial services, so you are going to need identification like your passport or NIB card. So start the process as soon as possible. Free to sign up. Go to arawakx.com. You'll be able to sign up. It takes 5 minutes. We tried to make it super, super simple. I don't know if you can get any simpler than that. And yeah, and you know, here's to being able to invest.
definitely, and we want to thank you in a way, and but also to commend and congratulate you on bringing it this far. And certainly, it is showing great possibility. There are green shoots. There's fruit on the tree, and so for persons out there who are listening, this is an opportunity for you to rethink your funding, rethink your financing, and for those who wish to become investors, this is an opportunity to broaden your portfolio and to rethink the whole idea that I do not have enough to invest. Starting at $16, as low as $16, you can get involved in companies with great potential upside. And so we want to encourage you to move in that direction. That's certainly what Mr. Rahming would tell you if he was in a position to do that. So I'm doing it for him.
Okay, thank you very much for having me on the show. I always enjoy coming. Your listening audience is great. They're intelligent. I often hear great comments. You ask great questions. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rahming. All the best. And we look forward to see Arawak X with a flagship in the Bahamas flying around the region and around the world. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Have a
Bye-bye.
blessed one.
Yes, and so there you had it. Arawak X. 3 listings so far: Red Lobster, Grove, and now Grow Labs, which is going to be an incubator. Big thing. I think this is important. I actually think I have 1 or 2 ideas which I could use in the Grow Lab. So you want to check that out. You also want to figure out how you can invest in it. Our Red Lobster has already passed its minimum. Go and check that out.